Nebraska began its preparations for Colorado here on Tuesday. Hi, Sean Callahan with HuskerOnline.com. We heard from Matt Rule on Monday, and today we heard from 4 different players as they get ready to travel to Boulder. And obviously, a big storyline heading out to this game is the Buffs' new head coach, Deion Sanders.
You know, it's Deion Sanders. Everybody knows who that is. You know, one of the best defensive backs ever to play the game. And, you know, I heard a lot of stories about him growing up. And, I mean, that's about it.
I mean, yeah, Prime, that's obviously the GOAT at DB. I mean, everybody know that. So, I mean, he's obviously a coach now, so it brings a different perspective. But, I mean, obviously you got to give Deion Sanders his props, his respect, you know, everything he's done. I think everybody does, especially now. So, really just me being a player, it's like going against another player, since he being a coach. So, I mean, that's also what I'm excited for, too.
And Nebraska and Colorado have not played since 2019, but there were a few players on this current Husker team that are actually a part of that game.
That was my freshman year.
What do you remember just about going out there and just that stadium, that setting, playing the altitude, and just being out there?
I remember, you know, them just preparing us for playing in that game because of the altitude. I remember the environment, how it was like. And it was just, you know, a back-and-forth game that year, and it was really intense.
I'm excited. I was there in 2019 and was a freshman and didn't play that game, so it'd be really it's gonna be awesome to just play against them this year. So.
What do you remember about that environment in 2019?
You know, it was like going any. That was a big rival. The crowd's pretty. They don't like us too much, but I think the one thing that stood out last time was how much Nebraska fans were there, and I'm hoping this year's gonna be the same. I remember looking back, and we had like a sea of red. So yeah, it's gonna be bumping after they won against TCU, and then for us, close game against Minnesota. It's gonna be a good atmosphere.
When you look at this matchup, it's going to be a big day for Nebraska's back end, particularly guys like Omar Brown and Quentin Newsome. Colorado's passing attack put up over 500 yards through the air against TCU.
I saw a great quarterback. He's very good in the pocket, and he just, you know, he's calm. He makes his reads, and you know, he's a very good quarterback, and we're ready to play against him.
For sure, I think they got like a lot of good skill players. I think that's basically the base of their offense and defense is just skill. I think it's just versatile. They got a lot of players that could play a whole bunch of times, so yeah.
Just trying to keep the main thing, just, you know, no matter who we going against, just making sure we focus on ourselves and what we're doing, kind of more on defense, but just, you know, getting adjusted to the pace and just, you know, being able to get lined up quick, and, you know, those are the main things.
Like, the reason why I say I circled that game is just for me because, you know, them the games you want. Like, I love going against competition. I love going against them skill players, you know, players potentially that's going to play in the NFL. So, I mean, some players might back away from it, but, I mean, I just can't wait for it. It'll be fun.
But as offensive lineman Ethan Piper said, just having that game film to watch from last week's TCU game has been big.
Yeah, so they kind of throw a lot of – they have odd, even, a lot of different fronts. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell, especially how fast the tempo was that both those teams played. I think they played pretty basic just for the fact they needed to get set up in something, but it'd be interesting. We only have one game on them, and all the players there are transfers, so it's going to be interesting just scouting them, and we just got to watch a lot of film this week. So.
On the flip side, how will quarterback Jeff Sims come back after his rough outing a week ago?
You know, I knew Jeff, like, after the game. I know Jeff, he's a guy that he's going to wear the weight of the team on his shoulders. He's the type of guy that wants to succeed so much. And I knew he would bounce back. He's bounced back phenomenally. And it was the first game, and his first time playing at Nebraska. So there's always going to be a lot to clean up. And it was a tough loss, but there's a lot of positives we could go on from now on.
He's been taking, you know, things very seriously, being very focused no matter what he's approaching. And just, you know, I can see him, you know, he's still confident and we still all believe in him. And he's just a natural born leader. So, you know, the things that he made mistakes on, you know, he's going to get it cleaned up and, you know, we looking ready for him to ball out.
Yeah, Jeff, even during the game, you know, he wasn't ever down on himself, even all the way until the final play. He was always on the sideline, you know, picking people up. And, you know, sometimes you don't see that out of people when they have bad games. They might get down on themselves. But and then this week, Jeff's been a leader, and he's been, you know, about as determined as anybody to bounce back from that. You know, he's a competitor, and, you know, he's going to bounce back on Saturday.
One of the leading receivers for the Big Red in that game a week ago was Alex Bullock, who said it was just kind of a relief to get that first big game behind him.
Yeah, no, you know, going into it, you're nervous because you don't know what to expect. But once you're in for that first snap, you realize it's just football. It's really just football. So you just go out there and play. And once you're in the middle of the game, you don't even think about it. You're just thinking about your assignment and, you know, how to help the team. And it just, you know, from there, it's just football.
And yes, this will be a big stage for Nebraska. Big noon kickoff on Fox. But Matt Rule's message to the team has been pretty consistent all week.
Just keep the main thing, and that's just playing football. Just making sure that we focus on the actual game and not everything that's going on outside of it. Just making sure that, you know, we locked in on what we need to do.
In this day and age, everybody has Twitter, Instagram. So, you know, if you look at all that stuff, you might buy into the hype. But what we've been talking about is if you look at all that stuff, you're going to get distracted from the game, and you won't be focusing on it. So, like I was talking about earlier, at the end of the day, it's just football. You just got to go out there and go, you know, one-on-one against the guy across from you and just do your job to be able to win. One thing I liked about Dion, he always says it's about us, and that's the same mindset we have. Like you could get lost in the hype, you could get lost in rivalry, you could get lost in, like, we have two new head coaches playing against each other. But at the end of the day, it's all about us. We control what we can control, and the outcome from there is going to play itself out. So
just keep the main thing, and that's just playing football. Just making sure that we focus on the actual game and not everything that's going on outside of it. Just making sure that, you know, we locked in on what we need to do.
Reporting here with the Nebraska football team in Lincoln, I'm Sean Callahan for HuskerOnline.com.